Welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. Today we're talking fast, talking furious, talking Wonder Woman? Yes, talking Wonder Woman, where it went wrong, and yes, I'll connect it all to Fast and Furious. Stay tuned. Going outside my wheelhouse here with coverage of non-Fast and Furious movies to take a look at Wonder Woman. This movie bothered me greatly, and I'll tell you why, but first some background. I went into this movie and came out pleasantly surprised. It's a DC movie that wasn't terrible. I'm generally kinder to movies than critics are, so when I thought it was good, but had some specific misgivings about it upon coming out of the theater, I expected an even harsher reaction from critics. And I expected to see this reflected in the Rotten Tomatoes score, so I checked it expecting to see mid to high 60s, but I saw mid to low 90s. What? How could it be that I saw issues with a movie that the critics missed? Usually, if I can see an issue with a movie, then the critics are all over it and tear the movie apart. This one is the opposite, so that's why I'm making this review. My primary issue with this movie is the arc of Diana, Wonder Woman, our hero. My secondary issue with this movie is its lack of tension. These two issues are wound together tightly, so I'll have to cover them together as one. Here goes. Wonder Woman starts with our introduction to Diana. She's royalty on Themyscira, the isolated home of the Amazons and last vestige of the Age of the Gods. Diana is a precocious youth and wants to become trained as a warrior. She gets her wish, is trained, and becomes an Amazon warrior. The sins of the outside world would come literally crashing in when a plane limps its way through Themyscira's barrier shield and crashes into the sea. Diana saves the pilot, Steve. Enemy forces follow him through and a battle ensues on the beach of Themyscira. Diana is shown to be heroic and valuable in battle. Diana's mentor is killed. Diana learns from Steve of the war engulfing the world outside Themyscira. Diana also learns from her mother that the god of war, Ares, who was long ago banished by Zeus, has apparently returned, leading to this war. Diana vows to accompany Steve away from Themyscira to bring peace and save mankind, despite protestations from her mother. Taking a sword she believes to be the magical and legendary God Killer, she leaves with Steve and the rest of the movie happens. With that background out of the way, we can dive into the issues with the movie as they develop. Throughout Act 1, described above, and the rest of the movie, Diana is strongly characterized in a specific way. She is characterized as terribly naive and hubristic in her single-minded belief in humanity's goodness and in her ability to save the world. This is manifested in her words, which she literally states out loud multiple times that if she kills Ares, the war will end.
And once I do, the war will end.
This is the primary characterization of Diana, the primary flaw she must overcome, the primary mistake in her worldview, the primary source of any growth in our hero. I present the following scenes to make my point. After Steve and Diana get to London, Steve, who is a spy, must report to his superiors to deliver valuable stolen intelligence. He tells Diana this, gesturing in the direction of his superior's office, and she says, "So the front is that way?" And he says, "Well, no, actually the front is that way, but I have to go this way for just a few minutes to deliver this. Then we can go that way, toward the front." Upon hearing this, Diana immediately turns and goes straight in the direction that Steve gestured was toward the war's front, stating that Ares will be there, and once again, that if she kills Ares, the war will end. The naivete shown here is comical and important in that it shows what Diana believes, how strongly she believes it, and how short-sighted she is at this point in the movie. How she believes it's all so simple and depends on her actions only. This is a typical superhero movie characterization. Little late to be still laying this on so thick midway into Act 2, but okay, whatever. So far, so good. It continues in another scene. They're heading toward the front. They're pinned down by machine guns. There's a team of characters around Diana at this point. Steve, Samir, Charlie, and Chief Napi. What does Diana do? She runs right out into the machine gun fire. The team could have worked together here to overcome this, and Diana, being the strongest, would of course be at the center of it. But instead, she just barrels toward the bad guys. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, this is showing more of her naivete, hubris, self-confidence that must get checked for her to grow as a character. See Thor in the first Thor movie. I fully expected some consequences for her here, maybe a partial retreat, some friction to force her to grow as a character and shed some of the immaturity, but no. What happens? She just puts up her shield, blocks all of the 9 million bullets fired at her, destroys the machine gun nest single-handedly. Okay, so she's impervious to bullets. Goes off by herself again and again, making every mistake in the book with no consequences. She's just that badass. Without consequences, without trials, without friction, our hero can't change, can't grow before our eyes. The character cannot have an arc. Plus, this is a tension killer. If our hero is impervious to that many bullets, then why worry? Why care? Why not just doze off and wake up for the CGI nightmare finale that is inevitably coming? This is DC after all, so we will get our CGI nightmare ending. But actually, at this point in the movie, I was still going along for the ride, thinking, okay, Still doubling down on the naivete. Maybe this will work if they get on it pretty soon. Then the scene in the village. Same thing happens. She's just badass. Goes over there and takes care of business. No problem, no tension, no consequences, no danger, no challenge to her worldview, nothing. Then the scene indoors at the cocktail party. She goes in, risking blowing their cover to kill Ares, or who she thinks is Ares, all by herself. Almost screws the whole thing up. Again, no consequences. No challenge to her naivete. Nothing. I must mention that this scene right here is what caused me to realize this movie had no tension, because this is the only scene with any tension whatsoever. We get a silent interaction between Diana and Ludendorff, and a vocal interaction between Steve and Dr. Poison. Great tension, but ultimately for nothing, as no part of this scene is useful to the plot. Too little, too late. Then at the end, or the first ending, what we think is the end, we get her facing Ludendorff, who we all think is Ares. And by the way, I think this movie was unfair to the audience with this twist. The movie tells us over and over again, pounds us over the head with hints that this is Ares. Then gotcha, not Ares after all. I don't like that in movies. It's underhanded and is a cover-up for the crappy writing of this ending. Anyway, there's a little tension as Diana faces Ludendorff. Then she kills him easily, and nothing happens. She actually still believes in this scene that if I kill Ares, the war will end. Even 2 hours into the movie, she's still that naive. But as this happened, I still thought Ludendorff was Ares, so I was like, okay, killed Ares, war didn't end. They ripped that band-aid off real quick. Gonna be a sudden wake-up call for our hero to shake her naivete, but nope, gotcha, that's not Ares, this is Ares. So Diana learns that she is the actual god killer, not the sword she carried, and fights the real Ares. She of course wins. There is some love stuff as the theme here, which is okay. But it's what happens next, right after she defeats the real Ares, that drives me crazy and is unforgivable. On this micro level, at this airfield, in this scene, as far as Diana knows, and as far as the moviegoer can see, what happens when she finally kills Ares? Look at the action after Ares dies. You have men from both sides of the fight looking around, wondering what to do, not fighting, taking off their gas masks, putting down their guns, helping each other. Again, not fighting. So, okay, looks like all that naivete is never going to get resolved. Because when Wonder Woman kills Ares, what happens? The war ends. Just like she's believed all along. No tension, no consequences or growth for our hero in a 2-hour movie. I mean, Steve dies, but his sacrifice has nothing to do with the war ending, because we're shown that killing Ares is why the war ends. Now, we all know enough about reality to know that that battle ending didn't mean the war ended everywhere in that moment. But these characters don't know that. And that's what we are shown, that the fighting ended. And this is a movie. What we are shown and what our characters are shown is important. It's everything. It's all we've got. So all that characterization of Diana as naive, super self-confident, full of enough hubris to take on the world all by herself, none of it is resolved. It's just all true. Our hero was 100% correct about everything all along. That means no arc. That is not a satisfying movie. Contrast this with the first Thor movie. During Act 1 of that movie, Thor is similar to Diana in this movie. He tries to do it all himself. He's the best thing to ever happen to the world. He's more hubristic than Diana ever is, and more selfish. An important difference is that Diana's motivation is from a selfless place with the aim of saving the world. Thor's was completely selfish, but still pretty similar. Then Thor has a downfall that forces him to learn, grow, and change. That's a satisfying arc. There's nothing like that in this movie. You could say that Diana's arc is her coming around to the realization that men are not inherently good, which is something Steve states to her point blank in exactly those words. And that love is the key and all that. The problem I have with that is twofold. Number one, the movie doesn't spend much time establishing that characterization of Diana. It spends a tiny bit, but much more time is spent showing us that Diana's fault is her naivete, not her belief in men as inherently good. Number two, that's not what we are shown after she kills Ares. After she kills Ares, we are shown that men are inherently good. Men that were moments ago trying to kill one another are now laying down their arms and helping one another. And the only thing that changed is that Wonder Woman killed Ares. So if I could change one small thing in this movie, it would be two things. First, in the scene where the team faces a bunker full of machine guns, Wonder Woman would retreat from the machine gun fire in the field and plan with Steve and friends to take out the bunker and machine guns together. Diana would be the power behind the plan, but having to work with them would show her growth. Here's how the scene would go down. Diana would run into the machine gun fire as she does in the movie. You might add some extra firepower just to show how much it takes to affect her. But the important thing is that it does affect her and she can't get through it, at least not alone. She uses her shield so she doesn't die by machine gun fire and retreats back to the team to find Steve and friends working on a plan to utilize their relative strengths to take out the bunker. It's a serious but unlikely plan with little chance to work. But when Wonder Woman joins the effort, her strength, power, and skills make the plan unstoppable. They would destroy the bunker and machine guns together. During the fight, she would have to step in and save one of them. Probably Charlie. Just to add a little tension, Diana would have faced consequences. She would have been forced to rethink her worldview on taking on the entire war herself. This would have shown her growth from pure naivete to recognizing reality through the dire consequences she very nearly faced when going out into the machine guns alone with no plan. This would have made the later assault in the village more satisfying as well, as we see them working as a team and we know it is earned, because we know exactly what they went through back at the bunker while becoming the team we are seeing work now. And that is the connection to Fast and Furious. Develop a team and work that team. Show the team developing meaningful connections with each other. Force the audience to care about the team by having them complement the hero. Force the audience to have concern for the hero by making the hero vulnerable and in need of the team. Fast and Furious does this better than any other franchise. Second thing I would change, Ludendorff would be Ares. Sir Patrick Morgan would just be Sir Patrick Morgan, a bureaucratic foil for Diana, ready-made for a sequel. Steve would still sacrifice himself in the same way. Interactions between Steve and Diana would be the same. Diana would kill Ludendorff the same way, though with more of a fight. And the war would not end when Ludendorff is killed, just like in the movie. Diana would realize her folly, realizing for real that Steve was right. Men are not inherently good. Realizing that it's not as simple as she believed. That things could have been different had she learned these lessons sooner. But she has still accomplished much. Ares' reign of influence would be over. We would see some shot of Dr. Poison going another direction in life as a result of Diana's actions. This would complete Diana's arc of moving from a naive, hubristic character that believes the world is simple and black and white to a character that has learned the lessons that war teaches people, which is that no matter how powerful you are not in full control, even if you're Wonder Woman. Her naivete has been completely resolved as she has shown that the war does not end when she kills Ares and that men have their own problems independent of Ares. But that's just my idea, and everyone else loved this movie, so who cares? Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this movie and what you think of my ideas. That's it for my rant review of Wonder Woman. If you want more content like this, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Till next time, keep it fast, keep it furious.